I let me grab a drink. Goddamn. Give me a moment. Ooh. I opened this shit up and I never used it. So I'm gonna actually use it. I forgot all about this shit. Let's see. Open this up. Desktop here. Let me make this bigger. Why is chat not docked properly? What the hell, chat? Grab this. Drag this down. Drag this to the left. Just don't know if this makes it any better. I don't know if this makes it any worse, honestly. Because I can't see exactly what you see on screen, but I'm going to be going over it anyway, so it typically don't matter. So I open this shit, which shows the distributions and whatnot of players. Rocket League is getting harder. Every season is becoming harder and harder and harder by the day. Well, by the season, I guess. So, forgot to go over this shit. Ranked duel 1v1s. The majority of the population is Platinum 1. I haven't done ones duels and, ranked in and done that shit in a long ass time. It's been years. I've went through my ones phase because I was primarily a ones player back in the day, which is probably why I have such a distinct advantage over positioning and shit like that. If you've never played ones, then you probably don't know 100% proper positioning, how to save, how to do things, the proper way when it comes to that shit. So, I mean, if some of the things that I'm saying you're not particularly understanding, I mean, play a ones match every once in a while where it's just you. You don't have anybody to rely on and all of that, and just see how you stack up. Save that replay, see where you're weak at, and then that's what you base your training off of. That's what I did when I was back in, whoops, Platinum Diamond, is I just played ones, reviewed the replay. Anytime I got scored on, I found out what the reason was, why it happened, etc., etc. What I could have done better. And then I also switched up strategies during the game or during the match, depending on how the person was playing. Decided to, fake them, delay my attacks, go for flicks, go for not air dribbles, but fast aerials, things like that. And I changed up my play strat depending on the type of opponent I was going against. When you got the demo people and shit like that just want to demo you, you kind of draw them in, pop the ball over them, and then go. But one's distribution, the majority of the people in Rocket League, which is still only 14%, is Platinum 1. So if you're playing ones and you are at Platinum 1 or higher, you are technically at the bar. That would be like a C grade. C is average. C is passing. C is not failure. C is good. Hell, if you're in college, C's is more than enough. You're gonna have to try a lot harder to get B's and A's. You're actually gonna have to be like on top of your studies if they use a proper grading scale and not a bell curve. If this shit was bell curved, all of this would be slid over, and a lot more people would be up in GC and champion and all of that other shit. But as it sits, I guess this is technically a bell curve, huh? Looking at it like this, but it'd be like an average based bell curve, I guess. You go to whoever's average in the class and then you bell curve it out like that. But anyway, the majority of people's in Platinum 1. I think on my stream account, I'm Platinum 1, but still unranked because I haven't played ones in forever. So, I technically fit into this, but like I said, it's been years since I've played ones. So, most people who are unranked and stop playing like I did, and other people that are, playing every day fit in Platinum 1. So anything over Platinum 1, you are exceptional. Anything at Platinum 1, you're average, and anything below Platinum 1, you are technically below average. But what you should be shooting for is Platinum 1 and 1s. Gold 3 ain't bad. I mean, you go from 13% and 14%, this ain't bad. Being, Gold 2, Gold 3, Platinum 1 ain't bad. When you get to the end of Gold, you know that, you're almost to, I don't want to say upper echelon, but you're almost to where you should be today and age in Rocket League. Now, obviously, you would like to be higher than Plat 1. You would like to go to Diamond and Champ and go beyond that shit. But at the bare minimum, you should be proud of yourself if you're Platinum 1 or higher. Especially in ones. Ones is a lot harder than any other game mode. Because again, it's just you and yourself. If you go down the line and you give them a sloppy ass flick that they save, it's probably going back into your net. So you got to really think about what you're doing and really practice up on things to where you're able to flow, rather good to get to that Platinum 1. Everything has basically went back in the past. Diamond used to be the average and now Platinum's the average, so everything's gotten harder by one rank. So don't be surprised if you're a GC and now you're stuck in Champ. The new GC is Champ. And instead of psionics looking at this shift in scale and being like, okay, we need to go through and fix this to where the average goes back up to diamond so more people can get SSL, Grand Champion, Champion, shit like that. They haven't. They just gonna let people suffer a loss of rank. People are playing the same as they always have, and they were GC one season, playing the same as they always have, and now they're champion. And they don't understand. They feel like they fell off and all of that, and people are getting frustrated. If you look towards the end of this, where Supersonic Legend is, literally nobody is up in Supersonic Legend and GC. Non-existent. No SSLs, no GC3s, and you barely got people that are Grand Champion, like 2. That says 0.068%. Point zero something, point zero something, point zero something. You don't even get into the positive ones until Diamond 3. So you're saying the top 1% of the world and ones is only Diamond 3. Scale's broken, brother. These shits right here should be pushed towards the end. All of these three should basically be combined in the SSL. These two should split out the GCs, and then you should get Champ 3 right about here. And the rest of this should be slid upwards. Instead, Psionics has been, I guess it'd be Epic in this case, has completely fucked up the ranking system, and things aren't working as good as they should be. And I checked this last season too, and this is about the spread that you would see last season, so it's not just because it's the start of the season or anything like that. But it's like, I could be the guy since I have the ear of one of the Psionics employees and say, the ranking system's kind of jacked up and needs to be fixed, but I mean, Does it really matter at this point? They don't want to go through and put in any extra work. This is like Fortnite. It's like a money, well, it's like Fortnite step kid. It's a money grab. They're gonna bring in cosmetics and a whole bunch of new cars and all of that shit, to keep making money off of that shit. Because it's not worth putting any money into, because it's not gonna make a significant amount of money. They can take that extra money and put it forward towards like Fortnite and any other future projects that they want to make. So there's that. Again, this scale is broken as hell, and ones, the top one or point less than 1% of the world, ain't even SSL. It's not how that's supposed to be. We head down the twos. Twos has actually fallen off a little bit as well. Twos is a lot easier than ones and threes. If I had to, put together, which was hardest, I would say twos is the easiest, threes is the next easiest, and then, or next easiest. Twos is the easiest, threes is the next hardest, and then ones is the hardest thing to rank up in. So two being easiest should be one higher. Again, threes used to have diamond and it used to look like this in threes. Twos used to be up in champ. But now that everything's gone back, twos is now a roundabouts diamond. Again, if you come over here, there's really nobody in SSL. There's barely anybody in GC3 and barely anybody GC2, and GC1 has about less than a percent. Well, less than a percent, has about 2% in it. Champ 3 has about 3% in it. The problem with all of that is, again, the top 1% of the world should be SSL. So this and this should definitely be combined together to be SSL. This is 1.75%. This is roundabout where you would have low SSL, and then like the end of GC3 should be in this little form right here. Then we go down to Champ 3, where there's like 3% in there. That should be about GC2-ish slash at the end of GC1. And then Champ 3 should be the 6 point whatever percent, and on and on and on and on. Now this is where things change, is the 12% and the 11% and all of this other bullshit that you're seeing should be distributed completely differently. But the thing is, everybody gets gatekeeped around here. You see, we go from 12% to 6%. So 50% or 100% increase, or 100% decrease, or 50% decrease off of Champ 1 to Champ 2. They're being gatekeeped right around here. And they're not able to add to this particular tally, which gives it a problem. As you can see, once you hit Diamond 1 to go to Diamond 2 to Diamond 3, the Champ 1, it's basically just kind of, a sliding scale. It goes down and then it goes up. But then it completely breaks off here, going to Champ 2. And as I play casual and all of that, I understand why that's a thing, because most people have been gatekeeped and stayed Champ 1 so long that they've lost their goddamn minds. But again, to fix this, all of this shit, so I'd have to use my Epic pen. I don't feel like opening it. This shit should basically be your upper echelon, and all of this needs to be shifted over ever so slightly. When it comes to twos, you should typically have a lot of people in Champ 2, a little people in Champ 3, and then you should have like a mix in GC1. Because a lot of people in the game are around about the C3 slash GC1 level, and they hop back and forth. So there should be some discrepancy between Champ or Diamond 3 and Champ 1, and discrepancy between Champ 3 and GC 1. And then the rest of that, again, we come down here, less than a percent of people who've made it here should be an SSL. We go all the way back, things don't really get any high until you get down to like Champ 2. All of this other shit, the 3% and all of this should be the upper echelon, you know, the GC plus. And that should be scaling on its own. So you take all of these people and you just bump them up. I'd say actually two ranks forward, and then this would thin itself out. The people that are supposed to be the higher ranks will go forward, and the people that aren't will stay back, and this will thin itself out properly. Instead of looking like this, everything would be cool. But will they go in and fix all of this? No. They should have their own division in charge of looking at their game and all of that. This should have been caught a long time ago. Shit's been jacked up for about 2 and a little bit seasons now. Things have gone back. Again, the game's getting harder every season, but it doesn't mean that getting your rank should be harder, you know? If you're in the top 1% of the world, or less than the 1% of the entire world, I think you should be an SSL. Just gonna throw that out there. It's to the point to where you have pros and content creators that are actually, you know, amazing at the game that aren't even SSL. People are trying their ass off and they're going through like this super huge grind and they just can't make it. And they're the pros, you know, the ones that are getting SSL every single season, unable to get their ranks. That's crazy. Fix this shit. And also, the people that when I say twos is easier, you can tell. There's your proof in your pudding right there. We'll go down to threes. Go down to threes. Your average players are stuck between Platinum 1 all the way over to about Diamond 2 to Diamond 3-ish. Diamond 3 is the same as Champ, as I always said. As with Champ 3 to GC 1. They're basically the same. Diamond 3 and Champ 1, basically the same. When it comes to threes, at least. And most of the population is around here. So they come in, to be honest with you, they come in fairly early at like Gold 1, and then they end off at about Champ 1. It's about the same. All the rest of this, there isn't any type of really steady increases. High point there's 10%, low point there's like 5.5%. So we'll just say 5% of players. So in essence, it isn't a huge amount of variance between that. You want to know why? Because everybody's gatekeeping everybody. The people that are supposed to be in SSL are stuck in GC3. So the people that were supposed to be GC3 are stuck in GC2. 2 and 1. 1 in Champ 3. Champ 3 and Champ 2. Champ 2 gatekeeping Champ 1. Champ 1 gatekeeping Diamond 3. Diamond 3 gatekeeping Diamond 2. Diamond 2 gatekeeping Diamond 1, which is where the majority of people are. So you guys are being super hardcore kept up in Diamond 1, and then Diamond 1 is gatekeeping the rest of them from coming up. Because it goes high here, and then it goes lower. So a lot of people are being stuck here, and a lot of people are being stuck here. So from Gold 3 to Platinum 1, and from Platinum 3 to Diamond 1, you're being super hard gatekeeped. The thing is, if they updated their system and pulled most of this back, I mean, like literally. So all the way from Champ 3 and now all the way from Champ 2 and forward should be your GC2 plus. So essentially everything just needs to be bumped higher. So this should be SSL. All of those should be SSL. Champion 2 should be GC2. Champion 1 should be GC1. This Diamond 3 should be Champ 3. And if you just bring everything up by 1, everything makes sense again. So everything in 3s just needs to go higher. 1 rank. Easiest way to do that without changing MMR values and all of that shit is just change the amount of points rewarded and go back in and redo the system for that. It's very simple. I mean, they can go in and they can change point values and all of that, dropping it down, but I mean, as you can see, there's a lot of divisions and point values inputted to give you whatever rank you are. So you're going to have to go through and add or subtract every single one of these and adjust them, which is going to be an issue. The easiest way to do this is just change how points are awarded. If everybody is, as a community, losing rank because the game's gotten harder for whatever reason, then all you need to do is just reward them more points for wins, more points for consecutive wins and things like that, and then penalize them less for a regular loss. Because sometimes I'll win 3 games and get like 21 MMR, and then I'll lose 2 games and lose like 25, and I'm like, how the fuck does that work? How am I losing more MMR from losing matches? I won 3 in a row. I should get my MMR slightly increased, and then I should get a bonus for winning 3 in a row, proving that I belong in the rank and I should be moved to the next, divisions and all of that of ranks or next rank. Then if I lose 2 in a row, the game should say, okay, maybe we put him up too high, but it was worth the try. Let's bring him back ever so slightly. And I should still be positive, because that's 3 in a row that I've won. So that should be a huge bonus, and then I should be set back minorly for losing 2 in a row. To kind of balance that shit out. So let's say each win's worth 10 points. I win 3 in a row, that's 30. You should be awarded an extra like 30%, so an extra 10 on top of that to give you 40 points. It's just an extra game that you don't have to play. I would even go as far as to say you should be rewarded 15, a game and a half, MMR points. Then if I lose 2 in a row after that, I should lose. So, hang on, we're at 30. 30 plus 15 is 45. So you'll get 45 for 3 wins in a row. Which is the same as an unranked game if you play it and you win, or if you lose it. So that's 45. If I lose the next 2 in a row, you lose, 8 to 10 points, depending on where you are, off of that. Typically, I would take away 8 on the first loss, and then I would go the deficit and take away 12 to make it an even 20 if you lose 2 in a row. So you're not penalized for getting a bad teammate or just having a bad game. That's how I'd do it. I would go 8 for the first loss, because if you lose 8, you're still, a positive of 2 points. And then if you win your next match, you can get, those points back and end up, back up where you need to be without any type of penalty loss. Hell, even give them the full 10 points and they'd have gone positive, 2 points on top of that because it was just, a fluke loss. But what I would specifically do after they lose the second match in a row, you would lose, 8 points there, then you would lose 12 points, being 20 points, which is the same as losing 2 games in a row. Because now you're losing them because you don't belong in that rank, even if somebody's throwing games. So then you've lost 20 points, and then I would take a bonus of an extra like 5 points off of that. So out of the 45 you got, you would lose 25 of those points, and you would be 20 points positive for the game or for the day. So I basically am eating most of your bonus and all of that, but you still have credit for, you know, 2 games won. So that way you're positive, because I mean, you won 3 in a row and you got a bonus for it, then you lost 2, but you're still positive and it gives you a chance. And as you lose more and more games, I would just have stacking penalties on it to bring you back to where you need to go. Because on the distribution, and I mean this is specifically for threes, by the way, nothing else, they have gaps in between each. Grand Champion 3, Division 4, is 1858, and then 1865 is where SSL starts. Those of you that are in Diamond 3 Purgatory, 995 is where Diamond 3 starts. 1060 is where it ends, but you have to go 20 points higher to 1180 in order to get Champ 1. So if you're getting an average of 8 points per game, you're going to have to win like 3 games to get higher up in rank and get to that Champ 1 because you need 20 points. This also solidifies that if you do manage to win 3 in a row and you get the extra bonus of 45 points, you'll go from here all the way up to 1,000. Hang on. What the hell? Wrong number. It's 1,093. You go from 1,060 to 1,093. So you need 33 points. So you need to win 4 games. That sounds more right. You need to win 4 games and stay positive 4 games in order to go from Diamond 3 to Champ 1, which is why it's called Diamond 3 Purgatory. Winning that many games and actually getting at the champ is going to take you a long time because you have to deal with tilted teammates, toxic teammates, people giving up, diamonds being diamonds, and shit like that. It's a pain in the ass to get through that shit. So, going from 1060 to 1093, you would have to win 4 games, which is 32 points. Well, now, it's 1075. Where am I going? How many times can you fuck up, dude? It's 50. It's not 15 points. That's a fucking lie. That's a fucking lie. It's not 15 points. I can promise you that. If you're Diamond 3 Division 4 and you win 2 games in a row, you're not going to get the champ. That's a fucking lie. That's not right. I promise you. It's not a 15-point gap. Because most people start here at Diamond 3 Division 3 and they have to get up to go from 1028, which is basically 1025, to 1075. That's 50 points in between 3 and up. 50 points would give you, let's say 6, because 8 times 6 is 48. You would have to win 6 games in a row with no bonus, obviously, in order to go from Diamond 3 Div 3 to Champ 1. Once you get to Diamond 3 Div 4, you're going to have to, at the bare minimum, win about 3 games. I want to say 4 unless you're just breezing through. Like, they do have stacking bonuses. If you're winning matches in a row, you will get bonus points and you will rank up fairly quickly. But that's the thing. When in Diamond 3, you're probably not going to be winning matches back to back to back to back. If you're lucky, you'll keep a 50-50 and then you'll go positive every once in a while. But it's definitely not 15 points in between the two. That's bullshit. And then from Diamond 3, where Purgatory starts, to Champ 1, again, there's about 50 points in between the two. So you're looking at 6 matches, basically, from that point to where you have to win in order to get, positive. If you win multiple in a row, obviously you'll get a stacking bonus and you can get there in half the time spent, but good luck. Unless you're an exceptional Rocket League player, good luck. But that's also part of the problem is if you're looking at the percentages and shit that are on the side, 0.02 apparently is an SSL in this picture. It's just so low you can't pull it out. Giggity. All of these point, 0 point something, 0 point something, 0 point something. I remember back in the day where the top like 1 or 2% of people were the ones that are in GC. Crazy. Then they added an SSL. All of these trickling people should be higher up in rank. All of this should be consolidated. I mean, this is basically the perfect spread. 0.3 and 0.7. That shit should be consolidated. Basically 0.09, 0.02. That shit should be consolidated. The splits are damn near perfect. Here and here, and here and there. Crazy. Then you look at this split and this split. They're basically perfect to be added in together. This split and this split, I mean, that's 10% with a little bit extra. So obviously, it's not going to work there. But the shit that I said you couldn't combine before I even was looking at all the percentages all go together like butter. Whoop. Then once you've determined, how many you want in SSL and all of that and what percentage wise, you then look at GC3, GC2, and then GC1. GC1 being the gatekeepers for anybody that wants to get into the upper echelon. And then you put players there to be the gatekeepers. From there, everybody who wants to challenge GC1 would be Champion 3. They're going to be gate kept. So their numbers should be a little bit higher than the GCs and all of that. But like I said, this one and this one go together like butter. That's 3. Those two go together to basically make 4. They go together. So sweet, like butter. Boom, combine them together. And I mean, it's just funny how all of that, comes together. This shit is just weird. Apparently, there's 340,000 players who are just unranked. Bronze players, there's 2685, but they're in their own little community. There's a community of people that literally make their rank go negative. So negative 100 is as high as your, or as negative as your MMR can go. And there's people that purposely throw matches and all of that to get their MMR as negative as possible. Weird as shit, but I guess you only find other people like yourself in there, so it's probably a cool place to play. Moving on, Diamond 1, which is average, has 545,000 players in it. 545,000 players. Why is that so high? Because when ranks get reset and shit, that's probably where the majority of people get their ranks reset to. So people that haven't played for the season and things like that, and people that are starting to get up, all combine into one rank. Moving on, once you get out of Diamond, the numbers start dropping off dramatically. Supersonic Legend, there is less than 1,000 people in there. But why is GC3 at 4,819 players, but SSL only at 963? If you take off the pros and all the other shit, which is probably like 63 players of the 900 and something, it just doesn't make sense how people are stuck in GC3 and unable to get into SSL. Easy answer is there's not enough spaces open. They've made the shit so difficult to get into SSL, and the Rocket League community's gotten harder that all of these people, well, some of these people that actually deserve to be SSL, can't. Because the people that are in SSL are the high upper echelon, being pros and everything else, that they're getting in their matches. And they're getting shit on by the pros and all of that, which are beyond the end of the MMR by quite a bit. Just playing, chilling, and doing things like that. They need to increase the amount of slots for SSL to allow some of the GC3 to pass through. Then again, from GC3 to GC2, there is a huge gap. Round about the same amount of percentages that's in between these two, it's the same amount that's in between these two. Same amount that's in between these two. Same amount that's kinda in between these two. Same amount that's kinda in between these two. Same amount that's kinda in between these two. And then it stops and stays about the same. Then it stops and stays about the same. And then it goes up about the same amount in between these two. And then it goes down, and then it stops and stays about the same. So then you ask yourself, why is there such a difference in between that? I mean, obviously, if you look at the ending MMR, 1739 is GC3 and 1865 is SSL. There is a huge gap in between the two. What is that? 130 points or some shit like that? Obviously, there is a super huge gap in between the two. But before this problem even started, I said in the past that they need to extend the Supersonic Legend and add something in that's pro level and then pull everybody up. Or they need to just have SSLs determined just for pros and then have the rest of the community and all of that, you know, be pulled up to their respective or the respective ranks. And not doing any of those, now the rank system's all jacked up, and now your average population is spread out in between Gold 1 all the way to Champ 1. And the fucked up thing about the entirety of this situation is it doesn't have to be this way. Somebody could go in and spend about an hour and fix all of this shit. If you want your pros to be supersonic legends, that's fine. But you don't need to increase this super huge gap in between the two to do that. Just make the number of MMR that you get per match smaller. Shorten this gap, take off MMR, take off MMR, take off MMR, drop down these MMRs. Again, all of this shit should be consolidated from unranked all the way up to about silver 3. All of that should be consolidated into the same thing until you are like gold in the game. Because gold, in my opinion, is where, bronze should start. You should have an unranked MMR that you have to get up around, let's say 500. Just throwing out a random number that's in between these two. So let's say as soon as you get 500 MMR, that is where you should start getting, your ranks set in. Before you get 500 MMR, all of this shit, silver 3, all the way down to unranked, should be consolidated into basically an unranked division. Then starting on gold is where the bar should start. Gold 1, again, only has 5% of the world in it, which makes it perfect as a starting base. If we cut all of that off the graph, then you have a stair step that kind of goes up, kind of goes down, kind of goes up a little bit, and then it completely falls down afterwards. But, and taking all of this MMR out from bronze 1 to gold 1, you have all the way from negative 100 all the way to 475. But I said 500 just to give it a nice round number. 500 extra MMR that you don't have to do anything with. So you can literally just delete all of that from there to there. And once they get to that phantom 500 MMR, their MMR restarts and they get their first rank. Some games, well, I guess Rocket League has the same thing. You have to reach level 10 regularly playing before you can get to, unlock the ranked. I believe that you should have to play ranked enough to get, an accumulation of 500, MMR in order to unlock the ability to go into rank and actually get your ranked rewards and shit like that. Obviously, it's going to be a one-time thing, but that'll keep new players from just jumping on ranked and, screwing up other people. At least force them to, learn how to drive their car and be able to play the game somewhat decently at about a gold level before they can get on rank. At gold 1, you're at least competent enough to know, the buttons and all of that. You're arrowing, you're going for balls, shit like that. Might not be the prettiest thing in the world, but at least you're able to play the game fluently for the most part. I wouldn't say fluently, but you're able to do, your everyday things that you need to do in the game. So taking unranked all the way to silver 3, condensing it down into an unranked thing that they have to get 500 MMR at. As soon as they get the 500 MMR, delete that shit. Give them, like a beginning career or inspiring star or some sort of bullshit ass, title or something. Maybe some wheels and shit. And then unlock the ability to play rank and start them at 0 MMR. So that'll give you an entire 500 MMR extra from Gold 1 all the way up to SSL that you can adjust things with. And doing it that way would take care of a lot of these split gaps and all of that other shit, and it will allow you to, if you want, have different, ranks and shit and things like this, in between this and over this, and in between these and all of that. And you can have a better rank split going further on. Will they ever do something like that? No, because a lot of people like to see the pretty and shiny and all of that. But I mean, I personally believe, and this is like in my opinion, that you should have to pass some sort of ranked trial before it becomes unlocked for you. There's a lot of games that do it. They're like, you got to play X amount of games, or you got to do this or that, or they'll just show that you're unranked until you get to a specific, MMR or ELO, as people say. Then you're able to play, ranked for real. So they have like a pseudo ranked where you don't lose any points, you don't gain any points that you can play until you're ready to play ranked. And that's the kind of system that I wish they would use to fix this entire fucked up scale that they have. Yeah, it's nice and all to have, zero point zero 0.02 and be able to say you're the top point zero 0.02 of the world. But the thing is, when the game becomes too hard and nobody else can reach that shit, what's the point? You're spending season after season after season grinding, but you're not getting anywhere. Because as you're grinding and getting better, the game's getting harder. So where you were champ 3 last season, if you grinded up the GC, guess what? You're champ 1 next season because the game got one rank higher. And you're like, what the hell? I was literally GC last season and now I'm only able to get champ 1. What the hell's going on? I don't understand. Did I really get that worse? And you start, self-doubting yourself and shit because the ranks screwed up. Typically, they would catch this shit by then and they would fix the problem, but they haven't been fixing anything here recently. They've just been adding in more content, etc., etc. So I honestly think that psionics is no longer a thing, and it's literally just epic now. Psionic has no say, and that their ranking system is just falling apart. Again, if they would have gave me a more informative response when I sent that email, I would be more obligated to go in and point out, some of the things and be like, your ranking system's kind of going downhill, shit like that. I'd feel obligated to, help the community and all of that and get things, kind of sort of back in order. But they hit me with the generics response this time, so I'm just gonna stay generic and, let things go. Typically, when I send, things in, I would get a hold of somebody from Psionics back in the day before they switched completely over to Epic, apparently. I never ran into the support potato. I ran into actual people. And I was able to talk to people and, shit like that, and everything was hunky dory. Now I send in a ticket, I get a bot called Support Potato, and I'm just like, okay. You say that you assure me that everything's taken seriously and all of that, but that's an absolute lie. It's not taken seriously. We all know that your business strategy is to basically just use it as a money grab. A lot of people likes the cosmetics and things because Rocket League's more of a casual game. So you keep putting out cars and shit that people like, people are going to keep buying them and it's going to make you money. Congratulations, Epic. You're doing good. You're making money off of that. Good business wise. But when it comes to the community, you've abandoned it. And it's just a shame. I mean, you could bring out a Rocket League 2 Or you can make a racing game that has the same engine that Rocket League's on, and you could probably make more money than you're going to make off cosmetics for the year. Because people have been wanting new content, new material, and all of that. Your Rocket League fan base would literally just buy whatever it is, even if it's dog shit. They would still buy that shit and give it a chance. And the thing about it is, you have the footwork and all of that basically laid down in front of you. If you guys don't want to go through all of that shit, all you have to do is go into some of these custom maps, open that shit up, get a hold of the owner and all of that. Say, here's assets, make all the maps you want to, and give them, assets that they can use, pre-made assets and shit that aren't made by other companies that could potentially sue you, and give them pre-made assets in a map creator. Like, there is no way to create any type of maps. You have custom training where you can create custom training, but why not have a custom map maker to where a console can make maps and upload it to a server? PC can make maps and all of that and upload it to a server, and it's all going to be made of assetted parts that you guys approve, so you're not going to get any legal trouble for, putting them on the market. Open up a Rocket Labs type match for any of the popular maps and all of that get upvoted. You can just have them in, and then you can have people playing it, publicly. All of these map creations and all of that, and just have them on rotation. Sort of like what Trackmania does with the Cup of the Day. You can have a map of the week and just keep cycling them. You can do it weekly, or you can just have somebody make a docket and just keep adding maps to that docket. And then every week, because I mean, it don't take much. There's only 52 weeks in a year, or somewhere around that. So once you have 52 maps, you're done for the year. Old Rocket Labs maps that you have can fill the gaps if you don't have anything for that particular week. You can just slot in a Rocket Labs map that you already had, or one that's made, like the Circle Donut map, or a Cosmic, or any other map, the Pirate Ship map, the Circle Hole map, any of the maps that you made. Any of the other maps that are already on the workshop and all of that, can be remade to do essentially the same thing. And if you give people the ability with a map editor, then you don't have to worry about people asking you for new content, because they can just make their own maps, upload the maps to a workshop or something like that. If it's something that PC can only get, oh well, you know. Because I mean, getting things through Sony and Xbox and all of that's a pain in the ass as is. Worst case scenario, just get a set of maps and release them DLC wise, on PlayStation and Xbox. And give them their own shit if you have to, or just leave them hanging. I don't know what to tell you. Consoles heavily regulated by their respective companies. So I mean, if getting through Nintendo and all of that shit, sometimes you just say fuck it and you just put it all on PC. PC gets the benefits and the rest don't. Sorry to tell it to you, brother. Add that shit in the future if it's gonna make further profits. But I mean, like, yeah. Like Trackmania, you can play it for free, but you have to buy the game in order to get the map making creation materials. Sell the map making materials as sort of a DLC in Rocket League, and access to the servers and all of that shit. If you want to make maximum profits, sell the map making materials and DLC, and then make you pay $1 a month or something like that in order to have a pass to, have a creator's pass to continue making maps and all of that. Sell them as leasing tools. The server that they're uploading to, shit like that. Charge them money for it. People would pay that shit. A lot of people wouldn't, but you would have, people paying that shit to have their map that they made played publicly. Oh, hell yeah. Then have like a feedback button and shit like that. Then you can have your own little mode at the end of matches instead of leaving and going to the main menu. You could have a map selection pop up to where people can scroll through and vote on different maps that are popping up. Obviously, only in those particular servers for the limited time modes and all of that. But I mean, shit. You can go bulk wild and crazy and have, again, the community creating content for themselves that you can play with other members of the community without having to go through Baki's mod and getting Hamachi and all of this other shit. Because I would rather just start the game, go into LTMs or workshop or player made maps, click on that shit, and then just be joined into a server with a bunch of people and just start playing them, you know? I think that would be cool. And if you're worried about the main game getting affected, all you have to do is have like a public test server or an extra server like Dead by Daylight and a lot of other games have. Switch over to the beta test branch and then have all of the extra maps and shit on that branch. Then anything that you guys want to try, have it on a beta test branch or something that's separate from the main game. And then boom. That's easy money, easy content. You can take your time putting out whatever the hell it is you want to put out. Shit like that. If somebody's a good map creator and gets a bunch of, upvotes, you can give them like a gold title, Map Maker of the Year or something like that. That gives you more titles, more recognition to give players because they love that shit. You can have special cars dedicated to that to keep them motivated, you know, etc., etc. You have a credit system. Make credits to unlock specific assets. If you want to make like a heat seeker map, you can make that shit cost extra credits. A drop shot map, you can make those parts cost credits. You can do a whole bunch of other shit. Give everybody just a basic set of tools to create a basic map, but if you want all of this extra shit, make it cost credits. You can do and spend this in a whole bunch of other ways, and you would get more money doing that than just releasing a car every once in a while that's popular. I'm not gonna go as far to say anything about a car editor though, because I've seen people and I know people and they would create cars that aren't appropriate for the game. So definitely do not give them the ability to create cars. Maps, I mean, obviously you're going to have some sort of authentication and somebody to go through and actually make sure that the maps aren't, racist or anything like that, obviously. So, I mean, you are going to have to put a little bit of money into it. I mean, the servers are going to cost a little money. Having a moderator go through all the maps and all of that shit to make sure nothing racist is inside or, part of the map. You're going to have to, check that shit too. But again, if it's on a separate server, different from the actual game itself, you really don't have any liability for it. So, there's a bunch of different ways you can spin this. You guys are the ones getting paid to make up the ideas and all of that, and to perfect the ideas. I'm not getting paid shit. I'm just your average reviewer that goes through and gives you ideas and shit like that that you could possibly or possibly not try. Anyway, that is it for this. I just wanted to go over the new distribution. Because, I mean, everything's went downhill quite a bit. Super, super, super far downhill. I don't even really play Rumble anymore, but I typically end up at Champ 3, and that's just playing with Macho and bullshitting on stream every once in a while. Drop shot, your average rank in drop shot is gold 3, silver 3, and gold 3. And here I am bitching at diamond 1, and I'm under the top 1% of the fucking world. That's crazy. There are 0% of people in SSL, 0% of people in GC3. 0.01% of people, 346 players, that's GC2. 0.02 or 667 players, that's in GC1. I used to end off at Champ 2 or Champ 3, sometimes Champ 1. Champ 1, 2, 3, basically end Champ at the end of seasons. And that's less than a percent of all players in the world. That's crazy. You don't even get to like an actual percent until Platinum 3 when it comes to drop shot. That's absurd. Snowy day. I mean, basically, same shit. Your average person's like in gold. That's crazy. Tournament matches are roundabout average. Most people are in diamond slash champ 1. That's typically, kinda sorta where you'll see most players. Why? Because tournament matches for the most part are 3v3. You're not gonna win a tournament being towards the back of the whatchamacallit, towards the back of the ranks. You're gonna have to be up towards the front. So, makes sense. Anyway, that's it. I just wanted to go over the new distribution and make a video of it because it is absolutely positively screwed. MMR is messed up again. This is why you get matches that don't make any sense. Nowhere near your actual rank. Unfortunately, there is no unranked distribution, or I would find it and I would show it to you, but there isn't any. So I couldn't tell you how many people are in unranked and where they are right now. So the closest I can show you is something like this. Even though this would be slid to the right a little bit, because most people who are casuals play at a higher rank than they do in ranked. So if you're, I don't know, let's say a GC1 for example, you'll probably be playing against champ 1s and shit, in this particular area. A little bit lower rank because you're not going to be playing unranked all the time. But anyway, for the 6th time, I'm out. I actually have to use the bathroom and all of that now, so that's in stream. Just wanted to point out more inconsistencies that I've ran into. And it's sad that they're happening because it's just like, man, the game's falling apart. Nobody's doing maintenance. People are no longer getting punished for being, toxic. The rank system no longer means anything because as hard as you try and as much as you try to grind, you're just going to keep staying the same rank and it's going to feel like you're making no progress. When in actuality, you've actually went up an entire rank from like Champ 1 to GC1. However, since the rank has progressed and become harder, that GC1 that you should have, you're now Champ 1. And you're like, I've been playing my ass off and I haven't been, getting anything done in Rocket League. I've been the same rank for 2 seasons. What the hell's going on? I feel like I improved and I'm, keeping up with everything and keeping up with everybody. I play against GCs and everything else in casual, and I completely smoke them. You know what's going on. It's not you, it's the damn game until they rebalance the game and all of that so you can get an actual proper ranking. Unfortunately, you're going to be part of the odd men out. But anyway,